Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mr.Cygnus, finally getting around to my WCG coverage audio that I've been talking about for a while. Also going to be doing a game. It was just one of the most amazing games probably been played at WCG between Shortround and Grubby, which is just, I don't know how to say it, just amazing. All the games were pretty much amazing at WCG, but this one in general was probably the best game played. So anyways, I'll be doing that. Also, before the game, I'm going to talk about what happened at WCG, and after the audio commentary, I'll be discussing some tips that I picked up from Grubby, and plus a few other players that I talked to that should be really helpful in improving your game, I mean, immensely, and just talking about what I witnessed down there when it comes to gameplay. So stick around after the audio, and I'll be talking about that stuff. Yeah. As for the event, which was just amazing, I don't even know where to start to tell you guys what happened down there. But I do know where to start is talking about about the replay for the game. Some of you guys probably don't know this or didn't read it on the front page. But on the front page under October 7th, there's a brief description of how to view the replay of this game. Basically, go into your War 3 folder, go into your maps folder, create a new folder called WCG 2004, copy and paste the map Twisted Meadows inside there, and you should be able to view this replay. So that gets that out of the way. Also want to dedicate this game to Grubby. My friend Grubby did a fantastic job, man. You couldn't have played any better than you did. And it was just amazing to be able to witness you playing, and thank you firsthand for all the tips and stuff and everything we talked about. And it's great to finally meet you. So I dedicate this replay and this commentary to Grubby. He did just a fantastic job. It was just amazing to watch you play. So that was great. So with that out of the way, basically, I don't know. It's pretty cool to be able to watch. I mean, not watch, but to see some pictures of the event and to be able to read things, but to have someone who was there firsthand just watching the action right there from ground zero, is pretty cool. So I'm going to try my best to just try and describe things as best I can. Opening ceremonies were Wednesday, and I ended up getting there about an hour or so before opening ceremonies, and press pass area was pretty much closed, and I actually didn't sign up for it, but I'm going to tell you guys, this is just where the luck began for me, because, I walked up to the press area, and I was like, I had it in my mind, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get a press pass. First of all, I didn't sign up for it. Second of all, the ladies closed. But I was like, yeah, screw it. So I talked to this girl, I was like, excuse me, you still doing the press pass thing? And she was like, well, actually, I'm closed right now, but I was like, look, I'm just going to say this, I really need a press pass. I didn't sign up for it, but maybe I'm just kind of wondering if maybe you can get me started in getting a press pass. And she's like, well, alright. She's like, I was close, but you're pretty nice. So I was like, yes, sweet. So she hooked me up with a press pass. It just had to sign some crap and get that all out of the way. So it was pretty cool. So anyways, I was like, alright, now how the hell am I going to find Grubby and all them? I mean, in this big crowd, there was like 700 gamers, and plus all these people there watching the event, fireworks going off, and all these videos and stuff, and this video of these two chicks kissing inside oh, it's pretty cool. So anyway, so I walked up, and I was like, well, how am I going to find Grubby? And I was like, well, maybe I can just try and listen for the Screaming Dutch people. So I found the Screaming Dutch people, and this guy pointed out Grubby to me, so I walked up to Grubby, and I was like, hey, Grubby. Actually, I called him by his name. I was like, hey, Manuel. And he looked over at me, and he's probably wondering, like, who's this dude? So I introduced myself, and he's like, oh, Cygnus. So he goes crazy, we start giving each other handshakes and hugs and all that crap. And at the same time, standing right next to him was Zerder and 4K Myth. So I ended up meeting those two guys at the same time. So we sat down, and we talked, and talked all through the ceremony. We talked after the ceremony. Actually, we all took the same train back. He went back to his hotel. I went back home after the event. He had to get rested up for all the jet lag because his first games were on the next day, which was Thursday. But it was just pretty amazing to be able to finally meet Grubby in person. I've only been talking to him forever, and he was just everything I expected. Great guy, taller than me, punk ass, but and so is Smith. That dude's like 7'10" or something like that, man. I'm like 5'9", and I stand next to him in a picture, and I look like a munchkin. But it was great. That guy was cool. Zerder was cool too. It was nice meeting those guys. But that was just the start of the fun, you know. I can't even tell you guys how lucky and fortunate I was to happen to come across the people I met there and was able to talk to and make friends with. And it was, I don't know, there's a lot of people probably thinking, Cygnus, you lucky bastard, but I'll just continue. Also, this is pretty funny. I was actually talking to Grubby during this opening ceremonies when I first met him. I was only there for 5 minutes, and a sign ended up falling on my foot. So I kicked the sign, hit some Austrian dude. So Grubby's like, Mr. Cygnus, you've only been here 5 minutes, and you're already making enemies. So it was pretty funny, though, but whatever. The next day, Thursday, which was pretty cool, I tried the best I could to be down there as long as possible, but you know, I've worked in school, so in the morning as I go to school, and then right after that I would jet right down to WCG and locate Grubby and talk to all those guys. So it was right after class. I got down there on Thursday afternoon. Grubby hadn't started his matches yet. He's eating lunch, and walked into the lunchroom and saw him sitting there, so we talked for a while, and Grubby said he's, you know, just getting a few bites to eat for his match. So we walked down to the players area, and I was able to get in there because I had my press pass, which is awesome. So there I was on the first floor, and I'm standing there next to some of the press, and you know, Grubby sitting down, getting ready for his games. And I was watching the first player he played, which is a human player, I think. And this guy was like, I guess he was Russian or something like that. He was sitting there and he was playing around with his mouse and his keyboard, and it was just amazing. So I ended up, like, I said, screw this. I climbed over the rope, walked over, sat right down next to Grubby during one of the open computers over there, and got to watch Grubby firsthand play this guy. And I was like, man, dude, I can't ask for freaking better seats. I mean, the only better seat in the house is if I was sitting in Grubby's freaking lap, man. So, I mean, like, I was right there next to him. He was playing. And so it was great. So, sat back, just watched him play. And he won pretty easily. I think he beat his first 5 opponents without any losses. So, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for him. It was just great. And just, it's funny, you know, he made cakewalk out of this one guy who looked like he had APM of about 400. I mean, this guy was slamming those keys, man. It was just like there's so much action going on. And so it was just great. And after the whole event, this is what was pretty wild, is I'm sitting next to Grubby, and here comes Zachard, who walks over, and he's like, hey, Grubby, how you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just doing good, you know. So they start talking. Zachard's English is really good for Korean, but, you know, he doesn't know that much English, but good enough. So he sat down, and he asked Grubby if he can see his replays. So me, Grubby, Zachard watched the replays, and they discussed strategy, which is just fantastic. I think it was really great to see that his biggest opponent was one of his best friends down there. So the three of us sat down, watched those replays. Then came, which was pretty cool, here comes Shock PG, comes over and sits down with us, and, you know, he continues to watch the replays, and the 4 of us are talking and watching these replays. And Zachard just, I mean, we were laughing about some of his games and making jokes and stuff, and it was just amazing. And so I got to meet Zachard also, so we talked for a while, and it was just great. So I must say, some of the coolest people I met there had to be Shock and Zachard and Myth and Todd and 4K Todd. And I met Etched also, he's a cool guy, and I met 4K Kai like actually a couple days later. It was just, I mean, I couldn't have asked for, you know, better timing and better just luck, man. I met these people by luck, and I just kept talking to them, and we got to hang out for a while, and we just had a great time. Friday I actually couldn't make it, but Grubby didn't play that day anyways, and I guess some pretty good games went on. Todd won his matches. Saturday I did make it there. I was there all Saturday, and that was an amazing day. That was probably one of the best days besides Sunday, which is the final day. There on Saturday, I was walking around down in the players area again. Ended up running into Zachard, so we were standing there talking for a while. And I'm telling you, one thing that's pretty funny is no matter where Zachard went, there was cameras and video cameras all around. So I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden, all these camera guys run over and start putting the camera all up in my face. So I was still talking to him, and I was kind of laughing about that. So that was pretty funny. But Zachard was a great guy. So he was really well mannered. It was just fantastic. And one of the best things to see down there was all these players, playing cutthroat, but then in the end, congratulating each other and returning to being friends again. And it was just great to see the whole event in general. So that was just an amazing day. So actually, during this replay, which I'm going to be discussing here, I was actually sitting next to Shock, and Shock and I were talking about short round strategy, which you will see in this game, which pretty much took him to the semifinals and the finals, was just a strategy right here. Not to say that Short Round didn't have the skill, which he did, to beat people on non-tavern maps, as he did beat Grubby on Lost Temple, which is like freaking amazing because that's one of Grubby's best maps. But he was able to pull out the win. And to tell you the truth, when he pulled out the win on the first game versus Grubby and Lost Temple, a lot of people thought that Short Round would be going to the finals against Zachard. And if he could beat Grubby, he could probably beat Zachard, because both of them are pretty much equal in skill. Grubby is better than Zachard, and Zachard's better than Grubby in different areas, but it all equals out pretty evenly if you guys watch the final games, which were also amazing. So anyways, after talking with Shock, basically in this audio, I'm going to be discussing, I've probably mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. I'm going to be discussing the tips I got from meeting Short Round. I talked to him about what happened during these games, and I talked to Grubby, of course, extensively about what happened in these games, and I'll also talk to Shock throughout the whole event. So basically everything you're going to be hearing is a combination of the four of our thoughts inside this audio commentary. And after the audio commentary, I'll be discussing the tips that Grubby gave me firsthand as I watched him on micro, macro, and I'm going to finally, I swear, I've been battling this goddamn question ever since my first audio commentary, the big myth between APM and micro, and how it all finally evens out. So finally that question gets answered, because I was right there, and I was in his face, and we talked about it. Boom, I'm going to settle it, finally. So anyways, be sure to stick around that after the game. So anyways, that was Saturday, and Sunday, which was equally probably one of my best days in my life, man. I'm gonna tell you guys, because great crap was going on. It was so exciting from start to finish. I got there actually on the third game that Grubby is playing. I tried my hardest, but I had a lot of things to do Sunday morning. So I got there in the third game to watch Grubby beat Zachard and win, and he comes like, I think he was floating. Grubby was floating out of the area. It was like he was walking on clouds. That's how excited he was. So I walked up, gave that guy a big fat hug, man. I congratulated him. He was so happy. Walks over, gets interviewed. He got interviewed by everyone and their mama there. I'm telling you, it's like everyone wanted to get autographs from Grubby and talk to him. And anyway, so I was out in the lobby just letting him do his thing, because I was talking to 4K Kai, who I met the day before also. 4K Kai, I learned some great strategies and stuff from him. Made great friends with him, and I'll get more into that a little bit later. But I met these people outside who are, I guess, Warcraft fans. I talked to them for a while, and I just want you to imagine you're sitting in this room, and Grubby's playing in the finals, and there's like all these people around, and it's this big intense moment, and just everything that was happening in that game was just amazing. People were just cheering and yelling and screaming, and it was just the best feeling ever. And I probably had to be the best feeling ever for Grubby, because it was just amazing. Anyways, I talked to these people, and then I met up with 4K Kai again, and Grubby was being interviewed, and Myth was upstairs, and Todd was walking around. So me and Kai went and we watched the Counter-Strike finals together. So it was the Dutch versus the Americans, so we were really into it. And he was, of course, rooting for his team. I was rooting for mine. And it went into triple overtime, so the two of us were there like really crazy. It was just so much fun. And after the event, after the Americans beat the Dutch, it was just so well played. It was just amazing. It was probably as amazing as Grubby's final games. Just the whole day in general was just one amazing event to the next. So, anyways, pretty much at that point, I couldn't stick around for the final ceremonies, which isn't, that big of a deal, but it was still pretty cool, but, to see that. But I had to say, I had to tell Grubby and Myth and Zerter and Kai, I had to tell them I had to go, and Grubby had more stuff to do anyway, so I said goodbye to Grubby, and I said goodbye to Myth and Zerter, and the whole Dutch team, which I met, which was great. Met all those guys and talked to them. And, I probably got one of the best compliments ever from these guys that made me just put me on cloud nine. I was like, man, it's great meeting you guys, and we'll have to get together and play. And like, yeah, dude, you better hit me up, we'll play, and we'll practice and stuff. And they're like, yeah, maybe we'll see you next year at WCG. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be all the way in Singapore just to do press work and stuff. And they're like, no, man, you better not come as press, you better come as a player. And I was like, wow, man, these guys want me to come back as a player. I felt great, so definitely going to have to meet with these guys. And I mean, wow, I met all these people, and it's like, all the best players in the world right there. Short Round Etched, and Grubby, which I already knew, and Myth, and Zerter, Todd, and Short Round, and all those people. It's just, how can I not get better, when I'm talking with these guys? And, it's just, man, I'm going to have to share all the good stuff I learned. I'm going to have to bring it to you guys so you guys can improve yourselves as well, and just try and share the knowledge, unless they ask me not to. Of course, I'm going to, if they have a private strategy they want to show me, I'm going to have to clear it with them before I can do an audio commentary on it. So, but I did get a few tips from Kai that he doesn't mind being thrown into an audio about a new creeping strategy on Lost Temple, and a few other things that'll help. And maybe I can share that with you guys, some other audio. But anyways, all in all, it was just amazing. And my luck doesn't end there. If I haven't met and made friends with enough people yet, I was getting on the train going home on the final day, ended up running into these same guys I was talking about earlier, and this guy hands me a camera. He's like, "Oh, you take a picture of us?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take a picture of them all." So, anyways, we ended up getting on the train together. We took the same train home. I guess these guys live kind of close to where I live, so I was talking with him. And this one guy is like, "Oh yeah, I'm a human player, and he's like, I gotta ask you one thing. Like, he's all, how do human players beat those night elf players? They're always teching all the time." I was like, well, one strategy that works pretty good is you can go like Archmage Naga, Tier 2 Tower Rush, and with the Ivory Towers and just rifles, and skip the foots or whatever. And he's like, and then the other guy who was there, he was like, "Oh yeah, that kind of seems like a strategy I use." And they were laughing about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool." I was thinking to myself, "Oh, this guy must be pretty good, if he already knows about that strategy and uses it." So I asked him, I was like, "So, what's your BattleNet ID?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm Perfume West." And I was like, "Oh shit, you're gonna sit next to Perfume West, and I didn't even know it, So we talked for a while, and I'm definitely gonna have to play with those guys as well. Get this microphone out of my mouth. I keep hitting it. Anyways, hopefully that doesn't distort. Anyways, so I was sitting right next to Perfume West, and I was thinking, this is freaking amazing, Here I am meeting all these people. Now I met more friends who happen to live close to me, and Perfume West is there. So I was like, wow, So that's going to be pretty cool. Maybe I can get just a big group of people together and just start slamming some games out, man. Get some great stuff going. Anyways, but I'll definitely have to save those and share with you guys and pass on the knowledge. So all in all, this event was just... it was just amazing. I can't even describe in words. I can just give you guys a little picture of how fantastic it was. It was just great. So,